Welcome back to 23 Degrees Sideways. So what does it mean that we have the biggest transfer of wealth and power in all of history over the whole so-called pandemic and the lockdowns? It's unstable. Thing one to remember is that it is absolutely critically unstable. One of the things that people in the power circles tend to forget is that you can't take away people's lives to that degree successfully. You cannot have long-term success in that. You look at, for example, the slavery in the 1600s in England. Irish slavery. They basically enslaved the whole nation of Ireland, and you had some pretty sketchy stuff going on that they don't like to talk about in a history class, right? You know, you want to talk about sex slavery, well, they had a bunch of white girls, and no one talks about it. Excuse that. But it didn't last. It's one of the things that actually led to, led to everything. Like, this is part of the English Civil War. This is part of the changes in the monarchy. This is part of the changes, what led to the U.S. Revolution. All of this stuff falls from it. It wasn't very stable. Now, the world was slower at the time, and it took a while for this to happen, okay? 1666 to 1776 is 110 years, right? But you can also think of 1776 as kind of a culmination, not a beginning. Let's fast forward and look at things like the Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, and stuff that lasted for various places, 10 years, 40 years, not 110 years. When you do that transfer of power and wealth to that degree, things are unstable. Right now, you're dealing with a highly connected, information-dense society that has freedom, has memories of freedom, and still, in a very real sense, has freedom. We can tell them to go fuck off. You know, we can do our cash business under the table, and they don't like that. There's always a movement to get rid of cash and have a cashless society so that the money and the power can control everything you do. You know, you'll own nothing and you'll like it. That's the watchword now. So, with the so-called pandemic and the responses to that, you've seen a transfer of trillions of dollars of wealth into ever fewer hands. You've also seen a transfer of power, an absolutely ridiculous transfer of power, okay? People stay home. People won't leave their houses. People are not allowed to leave their houses in some countries. You have to mask. People are not allowed to engage in basic life activities without a mask. In a lot of places. I'm a rebel and I'm on the edges, and I managed to do it pretty well. You know, there are times and places where having, the two masks in my pocket are useful. Like if I'm trying to buy ammo, they have the one box limit at Shields when they have some. So what happens is I go in with one mask, and I go in with a different mask, and I go in with no mask, and I have different hats, and I can just, I can go through the line 4 times. That's great. There are useful utility aspects to it. Can't wear it very long because I really can't actually breathe with them. And yes, that includes the medical masks. Different reasons. Though the transfer has been so dramatic and so extreme that I think it's unstable. I don't think people are going to stand for losing all of their stuff without a certain amount of resentment. You can only get them distracted by television for so long. You know, you've got people like there's that guy down in I think it was Tennessee. Whose business was closed down by the government because coronavirus panic, right? So he's got nothing. The business is dead, right? There's no coming back. No rent has been paid. There's nothing there. He can't get the business back. There's no way to do that. Now we have a quasi-legal Democrat government on a federal level, which is actually getting ready to restrict your so-called benefits to the right people. Anyway, he's not getting anything back. There's no way his business is going to start again. He also has been trying for a year to get unemployment because he was promised unemployment. Turns out that because everything was done by mail and all the offices were closed, someone took all his unemployment and got it. Like, fraud, right? Duh. Everything's done by mail. No one's in person. It's all online. It's kind of like the voting system. You have no way to check who's getting it. So he's got $15,000 of unemployment stuff for him and his family that he's never going to see, and they're not fixing it. The fact that he hasn't shot someone yet is actually what's surprising to me. You can't do that to people and expect them to just sit and take it forever. Up to a point, but not forever. He's had his ability to vote on the issue removed. Well, the vote doesn't count. You know, he can theoretically cast a ballot. These kinds of transfers of wealth and power have these side effects. You know, they destroy people's lives, and they run people down. Okay, that's what they do. They destroy lives. People aren't going to put up with it. There's going to be, I call it a reckoning, a backlash, whatever you want to say. Okay, it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And as much as the media is going to portray it as evil, because the media is owned by the people who have decided to take all the money and power away from you, I don't think it's going to fly. I don't think the characterization, I don't think the propaganda war is going to be won. You know, they're trying. They literally remove from the internet speeches that they don't like, stuff they don't like. The censorship is getting dramatic and real, very obvious and noticeable. Okay, but I don't think it's stable. You can't take that much power and that much money and have stability. The backlash is going to be amusing and probably impressive, and I honestly expect it's going to be a little bit on the bloody side, more than a little bit on the bloody side. You know, people joke about the first thing you do when the revolution comes is you shoot all the lawyers. Be really careful right now, because I don't think people are joking about that right now. People have had the academics and the legal experts and the politicians have taken everything away from you, and even though you're never going to touch the hands that it went into, no one's going to go after Bill Gates himself. But those people who enable Bill Gates, the politicians, the regulators, they're in a world of hurt. I am surprised that we have so little violence at this point in time. I think that's because a lot of people have just gone sideways with the whole thing and are just basically living black market cash lives. You know, we're pretty honest and open about the fact that we're not obeying laws anymore. The laws, a lot of people, and even the people who say, oh, even progressives disobey laws that they don't like, and they have totally dismissed the concept that laws have validity in and of themselves. I think that is one of the reasons we haven't seen more violence, but don't count on that too much. Get ready, be prepared, because you can't have this drastic a transfer of wealth and power. Everything in the world is they're trying to own everything. They've gotten a really good start on owning everything in the world belongs to a certain set of rich elite power brokers. That's not stable. It's not sustainable. It's going to come crashing down, and it's going to be so much fun. So get ready, get excited, because this is the good part. We're going to have a blast. Stay sideways.